Hello everyone, and welcome back to our shiny hunt for HISUI and GROWLITHE. How are all of you doing today? Vibing with the Piplup name. Well then. That's something. That went from 0 to 60 very quick. But it is time for a little bit more shiny hunting with everyone. Because we're going to be hitting over odds today with HISUI and GROWLITHE. If we don't end up getting it within the first, I think, maybe 2 boxes, we are going to be over odds on this thing. So, cross your fingers. Hope we're going to get it soon. Hello there, Go Looper. Looks like I'm going to do meditate. No, we have not let the dogs out yet. We have not gotten the doggo yet. Though, I'm hoping we get it today. Because, again, the goal is to get it today. Hello there, Crimson. Come on, the mods, go grab Crimson's link. It was also interesting and also vaguely terrifying. But it is time for the sparkle hunt to begin. Fast as the wind, the sparkling has begun. We're gonna go quickly check our Porto Marinata auction house, just in case they got anything nice and specially special. Because, it is a new in-game day, and it is nothing here. The Greppa berries would be useful if I didn't already have, like, probably 500 of them. Probably not actually 500, but I've got more than enough that I need for, the eventual Elite Battle League and then competitive battle preparations list for stuff and things, because, as we all know, stuff and things are quite good. Yeah, on your computer. Alright, nice. Computer is good. But yeah, a few days ago, that freaking shiny Staravia freaked the hell out of me. I'm hoping I can get another one eventually. Go to back, the rad, side to burn. Interesting. On the phone with calls. Okay, Crimson, very understandable. Very, very, very understandable. But yeah, it is time for the HISUI and Arc-a-Pupper GROWLITHE. But yeah, I've got a plan. So tonight, what we're going to be continuing on with in Tears of the Kingdom is that a shiny? I think that's a shiny Marie. Not Marie, Flaffy. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm slightly wrong, but like that Flaffy looks a little different. The Flaffy looks like slightly off-colored. Also, Tauros, you can absolutely hack off. You can absolutely just hack off, Tauros. It was a shiny Sheepo! It was a shiny Mareep! Already off to a rockin' start today, guys. How fitting I'm wearing my AC/DC shirt and we got an electric shiny. It's topical. Topical AC/DC shirt. You've been thunderstruck. High voltage. And all that stuff and things. And all of that stuff and things. That's a wonderful day. Yay. I'm happy. I am super happy about that. Let's go check it out. Because again, that's no sandwich boost. No sandwich boost in that one. Not marked. Okay. Alright, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I have gone and I've gone and moved and organized my boxes to a very heavy degree. I've very, very aggressively organized my PC boxes. Got a shiny Yveltal a few weeks ago. Didn't know. Nice! Shiny Yveltal. Senior Bacon Wings is always a good one. It was like, the thing that made me think it was a shiny was that the fluff was a little more pink. It's like, that looks off. It looked a little off. But I mean, hey, we got our sparkle. We already got one shiny today, even if we don't get the HISUI and GROWLIThe. We're 1 up. So, I call that a good day. I call this an especially goodest of days. Only Flappy in that area. Nice. Hello there, Ash. Welcome in. Combined. But yeah, I think tonight what we're going to do with Tears of the Kingdom is we're going to be trying to do a bit more shrines, because I think right now my main focus in Tears of the Kingdom is getting the rest of the side quests and then doing side quests as we're going around exploring and doing Koroks, because this is the one thing about Tears of the Kingdom that I want to be more effective about than I was with Breath of the Wild. With Breath of the Wild, we ended up retreading many of the same areas many times over, instead of more effectively, like, okay, we're going to one area, and we'll try and do all of the things in that one area. You know, whether it's like collecting materials, completing side quests, looking for Koroks, doing shrines. So we basically would, like, say, return to the Gerudo Desert like 4 or 5 times, when realistically we could have just gone there once. You know, well, once, twice, not, 5 times. That might completely reminds me. What's the idea, Crimson? What is the idea? There's another challenge lined up. I'll try Pokemon Reborn challenge run. All right, what's this challenge run, Mr. Hatman? What is this challenge run idea of which you speak? I am curious. I'm always curious. But yes, Omar, we did say pink. We acquired the pink cotton candy Sheepo Floof, aka Flappy. Which is delightful. So we have a normal. It's simple. You give it a Violet and Curse, put it in a Trick Room, Under Sun, flip it. The issue is Numel is not good. The issue primarily is Numel's survivability. And also, Flitter Blitz does very heavy recoil damage. So, the setup time is problematic. The recoil damage eats into the Violite. And with its weaknesses, it kind of gets taken down very quickly. As well as, you're dependent on having either Koraidon, depending on the format, or Torkoal next to it. The Koraidon is, of course, restricted legendary, and the Torkoal is also weak to ground, which can be problematic. I'm probably going to miss most of the stream today, sadly, because I have to use it. Okay. Well, remember Midnight. We generally have been trying to push for a bit longer streams. So there's a... And hello there, Kayla. I saw you delete your previous message because you typo goofed. Forehead. But how are you doing? I am spoon-fed. We did just find a shiny, so I would say, technically, I am spoon-fed. Alright. This is gonna be fun. Copying, Shell Destroy. Yeah, realistically, you're better off doing something like, say, Shell Smash, copying with Flamigo Co-Star, than it is a very protracted setup chain, like Simple Curse. So, it's... You're better off going with, say, something like that. I'll give you the theme by tell you every Pokemon I have access to her. Okay. I'm probably not going to be able to figure out the theme because I'm very bad with figuring out themes, but curious. Yeah, that's generally how a lot of competitive ideas actually form, is just, hey, this is a random idea that just occurred to me. Let's see how it works. And that's the way that competitive iteration process, actually works, is just, that's a neat idea, let's try it and see how it works. Burmy Pineco. Piplup, Aeron, Burmy, Pineco. I'm assuming steel types. I'm assuming a mono steel run. Because Aeron's a steel type at present. Burmy can evolve into Trash Cloak Wormadam, which becomes a steel type. Pineco picks up a steel type, and Piplup evolves into Empoleon with steel. Nice! Mono steel! Fine. I like my current strategy of using Toxic on something and using Carrot Poison. There's actually a number of things that actually have done a modified version of that. The main one to actually do that is... What's his name again? Glamora. The reason being Glamora's corrosion ability, that it can poison types, but you're better off just going with, say, poison zealots, but you're better off just going with, say, like, toxic debris anyway for the Venoshock damage. But yeah, there's actually a modified version of that same strategy in usage. The main reason why you generally go with Glamora is because of the Venoshock not needing to be followed by a usage of Toxic every time you can use Toxic Spikes. And Glamora actually does a very, very good job of being an anti-poison type. It actually does extremely well at dismantling opposing poisons, because if you, say, have a poison flying type, well, it gets things like Power Gem, and, a grounded poison type, it gets access to, Earth Power. So it actually is a very solid strategy. Got my last Mono Steel. Thought I'd try again. Steel machines. Yes, let the metal machines. Card is fully defensive. I feel like even if you're going to run a defensive Eternatus, you're just going to go HP and special attack, because its special attack is exceptionally high as is. Or you're going to go with speed, because Eternatus has a very, very aggressive stat line, and its HP is very oddly high. Like, for what Eternatus is, it's a lot like Mewtwo, in this case of it is exceptionally fast for being a glass cannon attacker stat-wise, but it's got very high bulk in terms of just like good defense and very high HP. Like, Eternatus is a very just well-rounded Pokemon in that it has comparable offensive stats to things, like Mewtwo, but also comparable speed and bulk that outclasses some of the slower legendaries. Bulk that outclasses, like, bulk on par with slower legendaries, but speed that outclasses them. So it's like, it has the best traits of most legendaries by sacrificing one stat that it just does not use. Because I think Eternatus' only bad stat, bad in this case being relative, because again, it is a freaking legendary that has extremely high base stat totals across the board, because it's a restricted legendary. I think the only bad that it has is actually its physical attack stat, and I actually don't know what Eternatus' physical attack is, and I want to go check that out now. Eternatus. Let's check what its stat line is, because I do legitimately like Eternatus. I think it's a very cool legendary, even if it's one that I very likely will not be using in a competitive sense. Well, then again, with the removal of Dynamaxing, it does kind of remove the one downside of Eternatus. Okay. Yeah. Eternatus' one bad stat is its physical attack, which is 85, but you're comparing 85 physical attack to a 45 special attack. It's like, its defenses are both 95, which is absolutely fantastic, and a freaking 140 HP. Like, 140 HP is insanely high. If that, I'm pretty sure that's on, like, I'm pretty sure that's on par with Snorlax, which I'm actually going to check that out right now. Hello there, Ember. Yeah, so apparently, Ember and Midnight both think I resemble Tom Cruise smashed together with Superman. So, I don't see it, but apparently they do, and it's become a joke. Also, yes, I renamed the episode from yesterday just to the Tom Cruise episode. Also, Midnight, did you watch the Mission Impossible Shrine? Did you see the Mission Impossible Shrine? Okay, let's check out Snorlax's HP. Yeah, Snorlax's HP is 160. Eternatus, 140. That thing is a very small step below Snorlax's HP, with very competent mixed defenses. Eternatus is a nightmare Pokemon to deal with, if it weren't for the fact that Poison and Dragon do not hit much for super effective damage. So it's like, pretty good, honestly. Like, I would say Eternatus is a very balanced legendary, because just the way its stat is, yeah. If its stat line was on any other Pokemon, legendary-wise, like, say, if you gave Eternatus a stat line to Mewtwo, Mewtwo would be just beyond broken, because even though Mewtwo was, like, fairly bulky as is, this is roughly a third more bulk on Mewtwo's, like, power, which is insane. But I believe the exact same speed. You give it to something, let's say, Dialga, that thing goes into insanity. This is actually why Origin Palkia worried me. You realize that you could still be around a 300 power move on Arceus. Yes! But here's the thing. That move requires Arceus to be Dynamaxed or Arceus to be a Dragon type. And that move also requires a recharge time. So it's one of those things that it's dependent on a number of conditions that realistically will they happen? Not likely. You know, it's a lot like the shuffle can do the most damage calculation. It's a fun number to look at, but the issue is in the practical terms, will it ever happen? And that answer is not realistically. Now, someone suggested nuclear bomb would be beyond any other way. There's a nuclear. But yeah, it's one of those things where its typing holds Eternatus back, and I still love Eternatus. I think it's a great Pokemon, like, idea-wise and design-wise. I mean, yes, it looks a bit weird, but I think that's kind of the point of Eternatus, because Eternatus is a lot like Necrozma. It is an alien. You know, Eternatus, like, came from beyond the stars. So, it looking very alien is somewhat of the point, which I like. Yeah, it's very, it's alien by design. It's a lot like the Ultra Beasts. They're meant to look very, very visually different than, you know, Pokemon we're more used to, because they are, you know, they're aliens. They're not from our world. So it opens up this idea that I really, really love about Pokemon, and I'm so glad they are actually exploring. Can other worlds in the Pokemon universe also have Pokemon? You know, if, say, you were to go into the Pokemon world and take a spaceship to another planet, would the animals on that world technically be Pokemon, or would they be, like, their own thing? But, like, the idea of, yeah, like, throughout the Pokemon universe, other worlds develop, you know, similar creatures with these abilities, which I think is fascinating. It's fridge brilliance. I love this idea, and I'm glad they're exploring it. Yeah, like, I love Eternatus design. Practically speaking, not one of my favorite legendaries to use, but it's one that I kind of might use this generation because of the Dynamax removal. Choice Scarf, Typhlosion, using Eruption. The only issue with that is weather teams and the very prevalence of Flash Fire, and also, like, Quash and Prankster Thunderwaves, and Prankster Trick, which is kind of problematic for it. But yeah, there's some good things with Typhlosion. Also, Jet Punch kind of completely kneecaps it. Something real funny in that one. I once calced Pokemon called can Oko solve best max combine Pokemon Sagas. Okay, but here's the thing. What is it? Was it like an electric type with electric terrain with specs or something like that? Honestly, I don't really mind Prankster as an ability. That could be because I tend to use some dark types on my team, but I like the idea of it. Granted, I also tend to use things like Prankster Grimmsnarl, where I use them as a support Pokemon, or, you know, Prankster Murkrow, where it is, you know, sort of half damage, half attack, half disruption. But I love it. I definitely can see why people don't like Prankster, because it's a very strong ability, but I enjoy using it. No. My ability is oblivious. My ability would be oblivious. Ember, don't even deny. Do not even deny that my ability would be entirely oblivious. Which is kind of good, because Oblivious is actually immune to Intimidate. It was in Pokemon Uranium. It was a nuclear type. It was super fighting and everything. Yeah, I've never played Uranium. But that literally sounds like Shadow Pokemon. What you have just described sounds like the Shadow Pokemon from XD Gale of Darkness, but just even more broken. Which, honestly, it's kind of a bad comparison. It's like saying a fighting type thing like Terrakion close combat can one-shot Aggron. It's like, well, yeah, it's a quad super effective hit with a very, very powerful attack stat backing it. That just kind of makes sense. It's nothing that realistically will ever happen. That Lugia was cool. I liked it. I am glad that they only gave Shadow Lugia a unique design like that, rather than like, okay, give every single Shadow Pokemon a unique design, because it made the impact of Shadow Lugia more visually impressive. Funny nuclear cat was fun to use. I can imagine. Forgot what my ability would be. Yours would probably be like Cursed Body. Yours would be Cursed Body. That's the only thing I can imagine. Or whatever Smeargle's ability is. I actually don't know what Smeargle's ability is, because I've never used a Smeargle. I will say this, and I don't care if this is a hot take. I am glad Smeargle is out of the games for a while. Like, I'm very glad Smeargle did not return in Sword and Shield. I'm very glad it did not return so far yet in this game. I do not want to deal. I do not want to deal with freaking Smeargle in VGC. I do not want to get Smeargled. One of the most infuriating things in existence was freaking Geopass Smeargle, which, thankfully, Geopass Smeargle kind of got knocked down a bajillion pegs, much like with, Dark Void Smeargle, which also happy that's gone. I don't know what my ability would be. You'd have probably the unholy combination that is, as one or whatever it is, fused Calyrex's abilities, where, oh yeah, I have Unnerve, and I also have basically Moxie. Or Special Moxie. That's basically you. You'd basically have like Unnerve and Beast Boost all in one, is what you would have, Hatman. Because you are very unnerving. Yours would just be, you'd just be Typhlosion Crimson. You'd just have Flash Fire. Flower Gift. Yeah, that makes sense. Flower Gift. It is an ability that activates in Sun. It turns Chirim into Sunny Chirim form, and also gives a 50% boost to itself and allies' special defense and physical attack. So, it's one of the reasons why Chirim was actually really, really good in doubles, because you'd put it next to something like Groudon, and then Groudon just becomes an absolute nightmare, because it's Groudon with +1 physical attack and basically a free Assault Vest without needing to use its item. It's a Groudon with a Choice Band and an Assault Vest with none of the downsides. And you can still use Helping Hand on your ally. It's really, really cool. Hey, Ash. Hi, Ash. The funny thing is, Crimson, Groudon's actually not generally as good as Kyogre. In general, Kyogre is seen as the better of the two weather legendaries because of the sheer damage that rain-boosted water moves are capable of doing. Groudon was basically the dude, like, thwart Kyogre, which is also one of the reasons why Groudon teams will almost always and invariably run a Gastrodon, specifically to dismantle Kyogre strategies. Because one of the things Kyogre is known for is it runs Thunder, because of course it's a water type, but it's a water type that is basically an anti-water type, because it's phenomenally bulky, and then it gets access to Thunder, so it can just destroy other water types trying to basically resist it. Which is why Gastrodon does a great job of stopping that, because it is immune to electric and it's immune to water. How you doing, Ash? How you doing, Ash? Apparently Floatzel's with it. Yeah, Floatzel gets Wave Crash. Yeah, rain-boosted Wave Crashes are kind of nightmarish. Because it also doesn't need to, I don't think Floatzel actually needs to run Speed Investment because of its naturally very high speed and Swift Swim, meaning in rain, it will just outpace a ridiculously large number of stuff. So you can just go full speed ahead and ram it with you'll basically go full attack investment, and probably like full HP investment, so you can, of course, use more Wave Crashes and also take some hits better. But you might also want to have a little bit of speed investment for reasons. Good news! I managed to eat my lunch, and nice. Very, 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 very nice. There's opinions on the new Piplup. I approve of it. Is that a Sabaton reference? Is that a reference to Sabaton, Hatman? Because I have come up with the same name for it, and yes, I approve of that name. Alternatively, it could be referenced to person chances, but it makes sense. That math checks out. All I have right now is just Sabaton's Bismarck, because it's a song about the boat, the Bismarck, and the British's hunt to destroy the Bismarck. It's just playing in my head right now. It's like, which reminds me of something very funny. My brother and I both like Sabaton, but my brother hates every Sabaton song about water because all of the songs that deal with water are slow songs, and he doesn't like that. It's like, I've noticed all of them are slow songs about water that you don't like. Do you have something against water? Just the people that generally frequent our mods. It's kind of that. Yeah, more so it's a thing of the mods are here very frequently, and I know them very well, so I trust them to be moderators. Sabaton is not Viking metal. Sabaton is, it's power metal. They do have a song about Vikings, though, Swedish pagans. But it is not Viking metal. It's just power metal and heavy metal is what they are. Specifically Swedish. Specifically Swedish. Also, they're dorks. Like, they enjoy, like, gaming. And they will goof off like crazy. It's like, I love these guys. They take nothing seriously, and it's like, yes, these guys are great. It's like, one of their songs, like one of their live concerts they were doing, they were gonna do a song, that has a big piano at the start of it, and they were, for like a few minutes before the song actually starts, like, let's play the song, and they played like another song, and they was like, yeah, you want to hear that song? Well, too effing bad, we're not doing that song. And then they played like a few other songs that, like, were other band songs, like a few, like the opening 10 seconds of it. It's like, yes, these guys just goof off, and it's great. The fact that they're just goofing off live on stage is one of my favorite things. Talking about Aaron name suggestions. Ooh, Aaron name suggestions. I mean, the obvious one's Mechagodzilla. That's the very obvious and blatant one is Mechagodzilla, but we're not going to go with that one. Could name it Papa, because, Papa Agron is another creator, so you could go that. It's like, yeah, Midnight, what have you done is the good question. Very, very good question is what I would like to know. I think paste bin. What's paste bin? What is paste bin? Great is a relative term, Ember. Great is a relative term. Great does not mean good or bad. It just means large in quantity. So, it's an order of magnitude measurement. It doesn't mean good or bad. So I would agree it's a great thing. Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, though. That's a connotation, denotation thing. Come for the suffering of, Metamax is failing to get shinies. Come for the etymology lessons. Exactly. You have done. I put it in. All right. You don't take something. There's an army. You have remember, once you open Pandora's box, Midnight, you can't put things back in Pandora's box. Chilling Bismarck, Piplup, Yuna, the Piplup, Grenade, the Pineco. No, you have to do a Holy Hand Grenade. You have to have the Holy, unless if it's shiny, it has to be the Holy Hand Grenade Pineco. Just tactical Pineco. I do like that Pineco is literally just a grenade Pinecone. It's nothing more complicated than that. You did vaguely, Mudcap. How are you? May scare children. I have no idea how to do this. Well, the answer for that is you make it 0 speed, decrease its speed with 0 IVs, and then you give it Gyro Ball. Tried to 6v4 a gym leader. 4v6 a gym leader. Fun. I'd say probably go like max special defense, probably, because its only not great defensive stat is special defense. But I've also never used Pineco, so I have no comments to make here nor there. Getting eggs and plants for them. Nice. Very, very nice. Eggs are good. Eggs are delicious. One of my favorite breakfasts, actually. Playing Pokemon Unite, because kind of bored of Battle right now. Interesting. Interesting. You actually missed us getting a shiny earlier, Mudkip. We got another shiny Flaffy. Which is fine, because we already finished the Flaffy shiny family. So we can just put that in the giveaway bin section. You ran into a Phanpy, or as I would say, wait, how does Zed not know how to say Phanpy's name? How does Zed not know how to say Phanpy's name? Zed, you disappoint me. Zed, you hurt me. Oh, because everything. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense then. Created something larger. Yes! Again, Midnight. This is what happens when you open Pandora's box. You can't close it. Any negative repercussions that come from this, Midnight, I blame you. How am I the one that opened Pandora's box? You're the one that put the idea out into the world. I merely shared it with friends because they found it amusing. You were the creator of the idea. You instigated the comment that prompted my actions. Like, a comment like that, there is no way I'm not sharing that comment out with friends. Because that's just too funny of a comment you made. It's like, no, this needs to be shared. More need to see this. Yes! But that was after Midnight's insistence to send it to you. Midnight insisted specifically I send it to you because she said you would agree with her. So that was Midnight. That was on her. No, it's on you for making something that is that funny to need to be shared. I would agree, but also it's spiraled out into a bunch of nonsense shenanigans. I opened Pandora's box. How do we know it isn't a McDonald's in it? That's a good question. Ooh, that's a pretty good comment, Mudkip, but also I don't think it's better than you want to see Charizard stuck in a glue trap. How are you doing? I'm doing well. I've never played a Sonic game at all. That is my skill level at Sonic games. I have never played one. So, I can offer no comment here nor there on my skill or abilities for it. Doesn't like compliments, so he just says, no, I'm not. I firmly do not believe I am certain things, and I will stick to the firm non-belief. Yeah, like, Charizard stuck in a glue trap, that is worthy of being status comment. Not, you know, the Pandora's box. Like, it's funny, but not nearly as funny as the Charizard glue trap one. You're the one... Midnight, is the fault on the person who spreads the idea, or the person who created the idea in the first place? That's the real question. You created the idea. I merely sent it to other people for the sake of humor. This is the conundrum indeed. I played Sonic the original. Yeah, I've never played Sonic. At some point I will be playing a Sonic game though. I have the vague goal of eventually playing it. Because I would have sped to the hilltops. You don't know that, Midnight. You don't know. You would have spread it. I still love how you said that Sly agreed with me saying his brain is blue. Even Sly admits His brain is just glue. Female aren't interesting. Ooh. Yeah, I'm infamously bad with nicknames, so I'm not really the best person to ask for nicknames. Oh, I got an idea. Iron Maiden. Because, like, you know, it's a band. It's a metal band. But literally, Iron. Maiden is female. Literally, Iron Maiden. That's the name. That would be a good name for a female steel type. I'm sorry, my love of music is shining through. I mean, it has horns, and I think it has, like, spikes on its tail and back a little bit. Egg works for something like Togepi. That's right! Can't remember, just imagination. I mean, to be fair, you also don't really see Aggron's back all that much. Because when you play in, you know, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and any of the games, you're seeing, like, shoulders and up, basically. And then, you know, in the modern, like, 3D games, you know, you're just seeing things from the front. So you're not really seeing, like, you know, the full back. Don't crush my dreams. Are they really dreams if you're not sleeping when you have them? Are our dreams exclusively limited to sleeping when you have them? Or are they not? Share clips of my screamer. Yes! Yes! Send Midnight send Midnight the Mark freak out. That was glorious. I will still say, Mark should have known better than to trust you. Mark should have known much better than to trust you. I'll just say, Midnight, don't wear headphones. You will thank us later. Also, you might want to turn your volume down, like, for it. You will thank us after. We love Mark, but freaking heck, Mark, you really shouldn't have trusted Omar. Ben Michael also. Okay, no idea who any of those are, Blorb, but I will take that as a compliment. Pokemon just add Flamigo because I wanted someone who went to Vegas. Flamigo is not a casino thing at all. That is... I'm not really sure where you get that overlap from, because flamingos are not from Vegas. At all. I'm not sure that math tracks. I actually like the idea of what they... At first, I hated Flamigo. But after I realized something about its name, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of clever, because its name is, you know, just Flamingo with a letter removed. But its ability, Co-Star, means it copies the stat changes of its ally. Meaning, it utilizes its friend in the way it fights. So basically, it battles with its friend. Its friend makes it stronger. And what is the Spanish word for friend? Amigo. So it's basically Flamingo friend. Flamigo. I was like, that's actually clever. And it's kind of a lame name at first, but it's like, that, I actually like that. I actually like that name idea. Names are low-key kind of bad. I guess I'm just trying to picture a tank. I mean, originally Hydreigon was gonna be a tank. Like, I still love that, yeah, Hydreigon was originally going to be just a freaking tank dragon. And they actually still kept, like, an element of Hydreigon being based on a tank with, like, the little stripe things on its torso. Those are meant to resemble tank treads. So it's like, that would have been cool. I still think it would have been a perfect opportunity for them to have made a regional variant of Hydreigon that was a tank dragon when they did Galar. Because, little bit of history lesson for you wonderful people. The tank came from Britain. The English were the ones that first developed the tank, so it could have been perfect. Like, yeah, tank dragon. Literally tank dragon in the place where the tank first came from. Just freaking... I mean, I feel like, though, it would be a bit too strong. And I do doubt that they would ever actually make a regional variant of a pseudo-legendary when there is a pseudo-legendary introduced in that game as well. That's the reason why I feel Hisui and Gudra existed, is, you know, there's no new pseudo-legendary introduced in Legends, so we can afford to give a new give a pseudo-legendary a regional variant, rather than, like, okay, we'll introduce Dragapultiface, and then we'll also make a regional variant of another pseudo. Oh, nice. That's cool. Shiny Badoo. Are Shiny odds in Reborn boosted, or are they, like, 1 in 4,000 things? To be fair, we do have Poke Paradoxmon, which kind of them regional variants. Not really. Paradoxmon are different. They're functionally very, very different than regional variants. They have very different stat lines, and oftentimes very different move pools. Regional variants will generally have many more similarities with their base Pokemon than what Paradoxes have. You know, also, again, they regional variants will share, you know, a stat line, you know, same stat total. More or less, they will share the same base stat distribution with maybe a few points differentiated here and there, like 5 points here or there, you know, are shifted, or, you know, 10. I believe Hisui and Samurott is, like, the most drastic shift, where it loses, I believe it loses some defenses and HP, and it gains 15 speed, but it stays the same base stat total, whereas the Paradox Pokemon have no base stat line in comparison with their base Pokemon. You know, like Delibird and Iron Bundle have very, very different stat distributions. And also very, very different very different stat totals, and also very different stat distributions. Some of them are a little similar, like Iron Hands has a very similar stat line, in fact, actually basically the exact same stat distribution as Hariyama. But that's more hyper functionality. That's more min-maxing for a competitive functionality reason. Something like, say, Wigglytuff and, well, the Jigglypuff family and Screamtail, very, very little stat line similarities there. Odds are higher, I think. I have the charm too. Interesting. Yes, I actually do know where the Godzilla sound effect comes from. It comes from a resin-covered glove being dragged across a stringed instrument. Yeah, the origin of the Godzilla roar is a fascinating story, because when they were first trying to create the roar of Godzilla for the first movie, they tried, like, mixing and matching animal roars, you know, rewinding them, you know, playing them in reverse, speeding them up, slowing them down, and they could not come up with a good roar for Godzilla, because it sounded too, in their words, natural. Godzilla is intrinsically unnatural, so they needed something that just was not natural. And then they just dragged a resin-covered glove across a stringed instrument and then just, like, changed the speed of it. I like Tinkaton. I'm a big fan of Tinkaton. I think, though, my favorite is Roaring Moon for, like, of the game. I just really, really like Roaring Moon. It's cool. I mean, Low Kicks looks like an Iron Man suit bug. Low Kicks is literally an Iron Man suit bug. It's really cool. I like it. Low Kicks is an interesting guy. Yeah, Roaring Moon, by far my favorite. Roaring Moon is by far my favorite. Like, you look at shiny Low Kicks, tell me that doesn't look like an Iron Man suit. You tell me that does not look like an Iron Man suit bug. Which I have zero problems with like, that mental image, because it's just too awesome. Yeah, my favorite, like, by a pretty significant distance is Roaring Moon. Second, I think, is a tie between Skeledirge and Tinkaton, though. Like, for a while, pretty high on that list was Baxcalibur, but, like, as time's gone on, I was like, I like Baxcalibur, but the other just amused me way more. Maximum attack, Pineco! Fine. So you mean a shiny low kicks? Ember, did you knock out a shiny low kicks, or was it just regular low kicks? Oh, I actually forgot to lock my back of my chair. Gotta lock the back of it. There we go. Oh, Ember, 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 how could you do that? Top 10 anime betrayals right there. I mean, if it's freaking like mini wheats, I can understand that. No. No, megas are not at all like regional variants. They are entirely different. Yeah, they are entirely different than regional variants. Yeah, because regional variants generally keep the same base stat line, if not the exact same base stat line, and have the exact same base stat total. Megas always have 100 base stat total more than the base Pokemon. I like Quaxcaval. I like Skeledirge and Quaxcaval. I don't care for Meowscarada. Cheerios are delightful. I'm a big fan of Cheerios. I actually had Cheerios for breakfast this morning. So we here stan Cheerios. We stan Cheerios here. I was never a fan of Meowscarada. I was never a big fan of Meowscarada. Granted, I'm not a cat person. I don't particularly like cats at all. They've never liked me, and I've just generally had not good experiences with cats. Which is funny, because my second favorite starter is actually Incineroar. But that's mostly because Incineroar isn't like a cat. It's just like emo. Not like emo, just like I don't really. It's just indifferent. The indifference that Litten displays just appeals to me in a way. Other than like the histrionic cat that is Sprigatito. We're just attention seeking. Fuecoco. Yeah, I will still say Fuecoco is the best starter in the game. Like in this game, the best of the 3 starters is Fuecoco. Skeledirge's Torch Song is just such a fun move. I love it. It is so fun. We're gonna name it after my cat. Before we name out that. No to Meowscarada. I actually didn't even look at what the final evolutions were before I picked them. I was like, I saw the first reveal of Fuecoco, and I was like, I will pick this. Nothing will change. I will pick Fuecoco, and I will die on this hill. Yeah, people really overrate Flower Trick. It's not that great of a move. It's... Because you gotta remember, Sprigatito's physical attack is... not Sprigatito. Meowscarada's physical attack is not that high. I think it's like 110. You know, 110 is... 110 isn't bad, but it also isn't great. You know, it's... And when you're using it with always critical hit, it's okay, it's 105 base power, but that's nothing compared to the literal snowball potential of Torch Song or Moxie Quaxcaval. No. Remember, critical hits are a 50% damage boost. Generation 6 made critical hits go from a double damage to a 1.5 times damage multiplier. The only time that really something like Flower Trick is good is when it comes to bypassing things like, say, physical defense boosting, like Iron Defense, or Reflect, Light Screen. But that's one of the reasons why Meowscarada is actually good competitively, is Protean and Fake Out. But you take away, well, Protean for the first usage, but also it's very fast and gets a U-turn. It isn't really Meowscarada's damage output that is what made Meowscarada good. It's that it gets a tech kit. In much of the same way that, like, Infernape was very good back in Generation 4. Getting things like it's a fast U-turn, it's a fast fake-out user. and, added that on with the knockoff, one of the few stab knockoff users that actually is still a thing. So it's less Meowscarada's damage output that made it good, and more it provides a very specific niche that formerly was actually filled by Weavile. Which is actually one of the reasons why for a long time Weavile was very good. But Weavile then lost knockoff, and, well, most things lost knockoff, so there's that. When PSPS had their Elite Four teams equipped, I went, oh no, and attributed this X to minus Quack. Yeah. But Quaxcavall is good. Quaxcavall is very, very good. It is a weird typing, but also it's a very good typing. Yeah, that was a very obvious Ditto. I actually am curious now, what even is Meowscarada's base attacks? I hate the fact that Scald... I'm glad Scald was removed. But here's the thing you gotta remember, Crimson. Scald default made water types extremely competitively relevant. It made water types pretty much the best, one of, if not the best typings to use in the entirety of competitive. It was extremely punishing to switch in Pokemon against water types, and it really put more pressure on having water immunities or burn immunities than it really should have. It's why I'm a big fan of Scald as a move. Like, I love Gastrodon. It was one of my favorite things to use on Gastrodon, but removing Scald was a very necessary thing. There is a Water Steel type. It is Empoleon. It's not really as good as you think it is. It's not as good as you think it is. Why does no one use... Okay, can we not call Quaxcavall that, guys? Seriously, that's kind of offensive. Like, if you're saying Quaxcavall, just call it the Duck or Quaxcavall. Do not call it that. Weaknesses are ground and fighting and electric is what it is weak to. The main issue is predominantly Empoleon doesn't have great stats. It's kind of like the one issue of it. Yeah, other than that, like, Empoleon would be good, but, like, Empoleon gets a Defiant now, which is good. Well, it got Defiant back in Generation 5. But Empoleon's had a couple of issues. Namely, stats, typing, moves, speed. The fact that fighting types are actually kind of good. Like, we refer to it as, like, Howard the Duck is another way of referring to it. Yeah, Meowscarada's physical attack. I'm pretty sure it's, like, 110, maybe 115. But yeah, what made Meowscarada good is that it is a fast pivot, fast U-turn, and knockoff stab. Yeah, 110. Yeah, Meowscarada is very frail, and it really doesn't hit that hard. It very much does not hit very hard. We're talking about a 110 for a physical attack. 110 is the same as Lucario's physical attack, which is not good. Something else I think with a 110 physical or special attack is... I know that starters generally hover around that. I think Charizard also has that, but Charizard going for it has things like Solar Power, which make it just insane in terms of damage output because of, Solar Power in Sun with Life Orb. And also just, like, higher base power attacks, but Meowscarada's moves are generally much lower base power, which kneecap its damage output. Yeah, but the thing is, Best, that means you're forced to use your Terrastalize on the Meowscarada, which is a very heavy cost you're sinking in. That is a very significant cost. A lot of people do not want to sink into it. Specifically because it gives you so much less flexibility. That's pretty much the best part about Terrastalization, is the flexibility it offers you. If you're basically default Terrastalizing into grass just for Meowscarada bonus Flower Trick damage, you're essentially destroying your ability to reflex against anything that just does well against grass. Torch Song is probably, like... I would say Torch Song is what makes Skeledirge probably the 4th best Terra Raid Pokemon. It's so good. We are big fans of Skeledirge here. Yeah, I am not a big fan. Meowscarada is very, very, very much not nearly the same power. Least hated Steel Mega. None of them. I despise all of them equally, aside from Mega Metagross, who I despise the most. There is no least hated Steel Mega. It's just, I hate all of them. I guess the only one that could, like, semi-qualify is specifically Mega Mawile, because how obscene Mega Mawile is precisely illustrates it. Like, specifically illustrates the problem with them. Is like, yeah, this thing is beyond excessively over the top. And it's kind of hilarious. But that's for sort of meta-contextual reasons. Yeah, Mega Mawile had huge power. For context, I've actually back-calculated Mega Mawile's effective attack stat. Its base attack stat is, 105. Doesn't seem too high. When you actually go through and calculate what its actual attack stat is after huge power, and then you back-calculate to what its base attack stat would actually be, its base attack stat is a staggering 257. Yes, I have actually calculated that out. It is insane. For further context, the highest other stat any Pokemon has is Blissey's HP at 255. Functionally, that thing has an attack stat higher than comparatively the highest other stat in the game. And also the highest defense stat was, I believe, a Mega Aggron Mega Steelix 230, or possibly 210 defense. And Mega Mawile's attack stat effectively dwarfed that. Mega Mawile is so comedically over the top, I kind of love it. Like, Mega Mawile was basically Zacian before Zacian began Zacianing, which is hilarious. Hello, Rabbit. How you doing? Torpedo favorite. Man. Asking if you did it all this way. What do you mean, Ultima? What do you mean asking if doing what right? Not really. The thing is, Regigigas gets no super effective same type attack bonus. That's kind of Regigigas' main issue. Even if it could be unshackled by, slow start, which there are ways of unshackling it from slow start, it is fast and it does hit very hard, but it can't really start one-shotting things. If you give it huge power, that requires one very specific other Pokemon and a very specific team composition, which is incredibly easy to shut down. That's kind of the issue with, like, huge power skill swap shenanigans. They're very, very easy to stop because it is very clear that the team depends on that. Hello there, Anakin. I don't like the design of Mega Metagross. I think the regular design of Metagross is fantastic as is. And I just don't like how busted Mega Metagross' stats are. I'm very much of the opinion that the perfect Pokemon is not the one that is capable of obliterating every single counter and threat to it. I'm a firm believer that the perfect Pokemon is the Pokemon that has the tools to properly handle its opposition, but requires good play on the part of the trainer. It's not a Pokemon that's just a win button, which is the large part of why I wasn't a big fan of Megas as a whole. A lot of them felt pretty much like win buttons. It's just their only real threat came from, well, other megas or legendaries. Which, you know, as a competitive guy, I don't really enjoy my competitive strategies essentially boiling down to one-shots and I beat you because I took out your one counter to the thing I have. I don't find that particularly fun. It's one of the reasons I don't really like Zacian existing. Any Pokemon that fit that description? What description? I have not seen the Transformers movie or the Spider-Man movie yet. I am steering clear of spoilers on those. When must have checks and counters, multi-double. Yeah, but here's the thing. When you're dealing with something like a 260 base physical attack stat on the best singular defensive typing in existence, that continuously switch in and out, that also gets Sucker Punch access, to the point, there is a singular competitive term known as Mawile range, which was the point at which a Pokemon was basically gone. That was a point at which, this is the remaining health this Pokemon has. Mega Mawile kills it from that range. That Pokemon is functionally no longer a part of the equation. Oh yeah, win buttons, basically most Megas, and a lot of things like Zacian. It's one of the reasons I don't like things like Zacian. I mean, Zacian I'm more okay with because it's a singular powerful Pokemon that actually there are many ways of mitigating Zacian's threat potential. And they actually did integrate a number of ways to actually stop Zacian from being as powerful as it used to be, which I'm more okay with. But, you know, things like Megas, they were basically just come in and they sheer out stat a lot of things. You can count Garchomp as a whip button and play it well enough. I think you're missing what I'm saying, Matt. When I'm saying this, I'm talking about things that really are just entirely brainless. Things where your playing doesn't need to be particularly strategic. It's just you go in and the sheer aggressive power this thing possesses without things like setup just rip through everything. Again, things like 130 base speed Pokemon with 170 offensive stats. You know, that's something that unless you have, you know, very heavy resist, very, very heavy bulk, that is what I'm saying is not good. If you do have to, like, play skillfully, that I don't consider that a win button. Because, like, you need to legitimately play skillfully for that. I would not say Fluttermane is a win button Pokemon. Mostly because Fluttermane's greatest strength is kind of its weakness. It very much depends on being the dedicated Terastallize. It depends on either having an ally set up Photosynthesis Sun for it, or its booster energy being consumed. And that means it's either using the booster energy and not having something like Choice Specs or a Focus Sash, or it's using those items, and if you just remove the sun, it loses its photosynthesis. So there's ways around it. You know, there's a very heavy cost associated with what Fluttermane is doing, and it can be annoying to figure out which one it is, but once you know what it is, which is one of the reasons why I like best of 3 formats, it's more easily handleable. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like best of 1 formats, because in a best of 1 format, you can do things like people did this back in Generation 8. They would run Hyper DPS Specs Indeedee. They would use Indeedee with Expanding Force and something like Choice Specs or Life Orb next to Helping Hand Hatterene. The only reason this worked is because people focus on the Hatterene, because, oh, Hatterene's a Trick Room Sweeper, that's what people do, and it basically preys on, oh, you're focusing on the Hatterene, not the other thing. You know, it is something that only works in a best of 1, it does not work in a best of 3, because after it's revealed, you can blow holes in everything it's doing, because you know the team is default bad. Do you mind? I'm not a big Fakemon person. I'll be real. I used to actually make a lot of Fakemon myself. I actually have a binder of them in the basement. So, Fakemon are one of those things I generally am a bit indifferent on, I'll be real. You guys can post them in the Discord if you want, but I generally abstain from commenting on them. Oh, you know what? Yes, but those are also the exceptions, Matt. Those are the exceptions, not the rule. Most megas are incredibly heavily offensively geared. You know, cough, cough. Everything with a base stat of like 160 or 150 or higher. God, those things. There's a reason that primals give me nightmares. There's a reason I still have the traumatic flashbacks to Primal Groudon. Even though technically Primal Groudon isn't actually a mega. Functionally, it's very similar, but it is not by technical definition. But also, guys, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Oh, but surprise is fun. Yes, but Matt, you're also missing the thing. It doesn't work prolonged. That's the thing, is its consistency. That's one of the reasons why something like Flutter Mane, it looks very, very fantastic on paper, but when in the practicality, it is not nearly as powerful. I mean, granted, Flutter Mane is still 1 in every 3 team is running a Flutter Mane. 1 in every 3 was running a Flutter Mane. Let me go check. Like, I actually want to see what Flutter Mane's stat line, like, usage-wise is right now. Yeah, Flutter Mane still pretty hovering around what was. Yeah, like, Chi-Yu has actually dropped off pretty significantly. Chi-Yu used to be number 2 in usage. It's now down to number 4, and it went from, like, I think, like, mid-40s to mid-30s. Now it's, like, you know, 29% usage. Flutter Mane is still staying pretty consistent. Moongus went up. I mean, that makes sense. You know, Moongus rises in response to the Flutter Mane, so it destroys the Flutter Mane. I would say probably the weakest Mega would have been Audino, because Mega Audino was entirely designed as support. One of the things that made Megas so strong is they had bulk lines on par with a lot of other aggressive Pokemon. They just had simply better speed and better offensive stats, and frequently many of them had an ability that actually increased their damage output. So, either directly or indirectly. A good example of that being, you got the direct level of damage increasing, being things like huge power from Mega Mawile, but indirect damage increasing from things like, say, Sunny Day being set up by Drought from Mega Charizard, or things like No Guard on Mega Pidgeot. I always mix up Pidgeotto and Pidgeot. You know, like Mega Pidgeot, where it can use No Guard, so it can get around the whole issue of, well, these very high base power moves are not as accurate as I would like. But I can just spam Hurricane with Reckless Abandon because it's perfectly accurate now. Granted, Mega Pidgeotto is on the bit of the weaker side with things because its natural stat line is very low, that even 100 boost doesn't realistically fix. But yeah, I would say Mega Audino would be the weakest of all Megas. I'll check his speed. I think that would outspeed Zacian. I think that would. But I don't think that would also one-shot Zacian. Because Zacian is very bulky. Zacian is very bulky. It's kind of one of the reasons it's scary. Because that thing can take some hits. I'm glad I'm not the only one that says Zacian. Its name is Zacian. It's Zacian. Wait, how do people say it? Why is Zacian so good in every game it's in? The reason Zacian is so good in every game it's in. Extremely high base speed, 138 base speed is beyond fantastic. 150 in this game base physical attack with, you know, an automatic +1 on its first switch in, which is insane. The best defensive typing in the game, Fairy Steel, and extremely high physical and special defenses with a very high HP pool. You know, it's kind of a case of Zacian doesn't really have a bad stat anywhere other than special attack, which it just doesn't use its special attacks at all. It's the ones that it can afford to sacrifice. Yeah, again, like, that's one of the other things. Zacian is entirely dependent on things like Behemoth Bash, Behemoth Blade, and its automatic +1. So, because it is a single Pokemon, it's actually very easy to counter in that way of, you know what it's going to be. That's one of the things that I say separates something like, say, Zacian from something like, say, Primal Groudon, where Primal Groudon was a problem for literally everything to handle. that wasn't another Primal Groudon making everything a coin flip, or specifically Waterfall Rayquaza. Those are basically the only two things that could realistically take it down. But you got something like Zacian where it's actually, I would say, relatively easy to wall Zacian because its two typings actually have a good amount of overlap in terms of what can mitigate it. It doesn't have obscene defense mitigating abilities that just like shut down, literally just shut counters down. And it's dependent on its natural attack boost to actually do a lot of what it does. So things like Unaware or stat removal or like defensive measures like say Reflect kind of cut through it. Well, Matt, you need to explain the reason why I don't like Lucario. And that has to do with a number of people I associate with Lucario legitimately gaslighted me for a long time. So it's sort of a thing doing with its negativity by association with a large number of very toxic people I've had in my life. So it's, that context kind of needs to be put on there. That is very important, guys. Hello there, Fatal Gaming. Welcome in. Nice, but how are you doing, Fatal Gaming? Hoping you're doing well. And again, guys, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Though realistically, my least favorite Pokemon overall is probably Mega Metagross. Mostly because I like Metagross and it's my favorite Pokemon, and I find Mega Metagross an affront to the existence of Metagross. I don't really mind Shadow Rider Calyrex, though I prefer to call it Ghost Rider Calyrex. Even though I know the official name is Shadow Rider, I prefer Ghost Rider Calyrex, because there actually was a Ghost Rider who rode a ghost horse. Yes, there was actually a Marvel Ghost Rider who rode a ghost horse. So it's like, yes. Yes. Also, Ghost Rider is just awesome. I love Sandile. Sandile's a good boy. Sandile deserves head pats. Yeah, I like Shadow Rider Calyrex. The main thing is, like, Shadow Rider Calyrex is actually kind of frail in the sense of, like, well, just Sucker Punch destroys it. That's one of the reasons it was very dependent on something like Psychic Terrain to help it, because that way you just don't get Sucker Punch in the face. Calyrex is derpy. Yeah, Calyrex is very derpy. That's kind of why I like it. It's like, it's silly. Calyrex is a funny, silly guy. Like, I like it when they go into Pokemon that look kind of silly. Because, like, I love the idea of, like, a beware the silly ones. I'm a very big fan of that whole concept. Now, Cal can tear into fighting our fairy. The thing is, I don't think it would want to do that. I don't think it would want to go into something like fighting a fairy. Because here's the issue. Those still have a number of weaknesses. I mean, Fairy, I think, would probably be like the least bad one for to go into, but there's a number of Steel types that are a pretty significant problem for it, especially now with like all the terrestrializing that other Pokemon can do. Things like King Gambit would really do well against it, which King Gambit already does very well against it. So it would struggle even more with various Dark types. It would struggle even more with Steel types. Very likely you'd want to go with a different typing, because you can't terrestrialize purely out of defensive. There's a lot of Pokemon that do terrestrialize defensively and do it very well, but there's also an offensive measure to them terrestrializing a certain way. Yeah, like one of the ones is Hydreigon. Hydreigon will terrestrialize, you know, defensively because, you know, it's poison, so now it's immune to, of course, ground because of Levitate, and its only weakness is now Psychic, which it's naturally a Dark type, meaning it can eat Psychic types for breakfast. But it also offensively allows it to destroy Fairy types, which Fairy is generally one of the best typings just in a competitive sense, period. Fairy is just distinctly one of the best. Like, it is, I would say, from an offensive perspective, it is the best. From a defensive perspective, I would say it's probably one of the top 3 best. From a Natnext player, they picked Terra, Fairy, Calyrex, Shadow, since most prominent threats can't deal with it. To be fair, that's also with Smogon rules, and Smogon rules allow literally everything. The issue with that is it introduces a number of Pokemon that are not still in the game and a number of mechanics that are still not in the game. Which, it's kind of like comparing a car designed to drive on a very curving race course versus putting it on a straightaway and seeing how fast it can beat a car designed to go really fast in a straight line. You're kind of comparing two different races, essentially. This is with no rules. I play Nat Dex AG. Yeah, it's kind of a thing of you're comparing like two things built for two very different rules. They're not that comparable. Really, why did they ban Volcarona? I'm probably sure I know why they banned it. Because they don't like fun. They have Sash. Fairy Dance. Why would you use Heat Wave on a Pokemon you already have Fiery Dance on? Fiery Dance is more or less the same power and same thing. Yeah, you don't really run two fire moves. Yeah, you generally do like Bug Buzz or Giga Drain instead of the Energy Ball. Because that way you have Energy Ball to heal yourself. Because Energy Ball and Giga Drain have about the same power. A little less power, of course, on Giga Drain, but you have the healing effect. And I think most Pokemon that would go down to a +1 Energy Ball would also go down to a +1 Giga Drain. It just goes with the added benefit of healing yourself. There could be some edge case, though, where it doesn't actually take it down. Which I would actually like to see that. But yes, like, Nat Dex is kind of not the best thing to compare points with. We are not getting a Kalos in the DLC. Yeah, Bold and Brash, we are not getting Kalos and Megas in the DLC. That is a very not healthy leak that a lot of people are perpetrating because leakers' whole thing is actually growth by people telling other people about leaks so they go and check them out. And the best way of doing that is actually to say, like, these wildly unrealistic things so people go and ask people about it and spread, and then they all go searching for the person who originated that, thus growing their community. It's the same reason why before the last Pokemon Presents that was in February, a lot of things were saying there's a secret link on Pokemon's website to Chunsoft, meaning we're gonna be getting another remake of Pokemon Mystery Dungeons. Like, that's not happening. The reason why they say that is because they know people will go and spread that leak out, and it will consequently grow their content again. No, I think that we're probably 2 years away from a Gen 5 remake. Well, year and a half minimum from a Gen 5 remake, because we can base remakes on the previous timetable of previous game releases. And that is, BDSP came out, what, 2 years after the DLC for Sword and Shield? Or is that a year after the DLC of Sword and Shield ended? And it's one of those, like, they don't release a remake the year after the new game comes out, because the year after is when the DLC of that game is taking effect. The year after that, or 2 years after that, that's when they do a remake, if they are doing a remake. It's one of the reasons why you can actually, like, extrapolate the future of game release cycles just from history. Yeah, very likely we're not going to get something like BDSP again, because it is important to remember the context of BDSP. The context of BDSP was a game developed by iCal while Game Freak built Legends. So it was basically the B team was working on that, and BDSP was the safest theoretical game they could make when all other games have been handled by Game Freak. So very likely, BDSP was something to essentially train the iCal people on how to, like, program a Pokemon game, not necessarily all the intricacies, ins and outs of actually making a remake that people would like for the same reasons. So, very, very likely, we are not going to be getting something like BDSP again. Because again, Legends was an anomaly that kind of threw things off. I don't think that they're bringing back any of the other super mechanics. No, Shiny Haxorus from Generation 5 was not an event. It was, you can do the Shiny Haxorus thing after you get the Shiny Charm. So that's complete the entire National Pokedex, and then you get the Shiny Haxorus. Yeah. But also, again, guys, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. But yeah, very unlikely Mega's gonna be returning, and the next game is probably the next remake, probably gonna come out in a year or two, and that's gonna be possibly when we get Gen 5. We might not even get it, because we still don't know that yet. They could potentially not do the Gen 5 remake. So what would that be in a Gen 5 remake? Yeah, pretty much what Matt, Super Victory Star outlined there, that's pretty much what I'm thinking is gonna go for the remake timeline. That's what I'm pretty much thinking. So that would be in a Gen 5. It depends on what game they're remaking, Crimson. Because this is the thing. Black and White and Black 2, White 2 are not comparable games in the same way that something like, say, Platinum is comparable with Diamond and Pearl. Where, realistically speaking, Platinum and Diamond and Pearl are 99% the same game in terms of functionality. The only differences are, a coat of paint thrown over a couple of areas, and a few more Pokemon were added here and there, which BDSP actually added in all the mechanical differences. You can get all of the Pokemon that Platinum added with the Dex expansion, and things like Gym Leader rematches, the improved Elite Four teams, all of those are in BDSP. So it actually includes all of what Platinum included in a functional capacity, just not the aesthetic choices, which that is kind of what people seem to have wanted more, was the aesthetic choices, despite, Distortion World kind of just being a 15-minute long hallway. As much as we love the atmosphere of the Distortion World, it is kind of a 15-minute hallway of you just walking forward and waiting for stuff to happen. And even if it was remade in, Super HD, no Distortion World was ever going to give us the same impact as the Distortion World when we first encountered it back when we were kids. Nothing will ever make that same impression again. It's just the way we are, because we know what happens when we go to the door. We know what happens now. But not knowing what made it so scary and made it so unnerving, made it so impactful. If you know what's coming, the impact is largely lost. The funny thing is, these games are pretty much 4-year dev cycles. These modern games are, if not more than 4-year dev cycles. No, you apply to go to regionals. You don't get invited to them. You get invited for things like intercontinentals and worlds. You can go to regionals. You just sign up online for them, and then you show up. Well, yeah, but the thing you gotta remember is that's a fan game. Matt, we're talking about remakes of that, and, remaking that and including that in a game, in the actual games, not, a fan game, where fan games can kind of go all out with fan service. It's kind of one of the advantages of them, whereas, official, actual licensed games can't really go into all the little nitty-gritty fan service things. Oh yeah, it is Wednesday. Why do you keep doing TOTK night? Because I enjoy TOTK, Aiden. I very much enjoy it. It is, yeah. Yeah, see, that is kind of one of the reasons I don't really play fan games, actually, is, because of specifically, those fan service elements. It's kind of just not really my cup of tea. But again, guys, if you haven't done so, you wonderful, wonderful viewers out there, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. There are 21 of you wonderful people out there. Thank y'all for tuning in. Also, if you guys actually need a HISUI and Growlithe, I would be very happy to, you know, trade you guys them, because otherwise they're going to get weird. Yeah, nationals, you need to get invited to. Everything above regionals, you need to get invited to, and you get invited to them by doing well in regionals. I think I'd be mad if a Pokemon in a game without any new Pokemon. Interesting. Interesting, Matt. See, I like the new games for, like, the new stuff that they add. You know, for me, it's the old returning Pokemon are kind of completely inconsequential to my enjoyment. I like seeing what's new. That's why whenever I play through a game for the first time, and even, like, the subsequent playthroughs, I will exclusively use new Pokemon that game added. It's interesting those different perspectives. Yeah, I can get you an Anakin. I can give you a Growlithe. And also, yes, viewers out there, we later tonight are going to be doing another of our Tears of the Kingdom streams. We do 2 streams a day. First one is our Pokemon shiny hunting stream. We are going to be shiny hunting full odds Lugia, soft reset in Soul Silver. And we're going to be shiny hunting a Poipole in Ultra Sun. We're resuming that soon. And then at night we do our Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom streams. We've already completed the story, so no story spoilers will be present. It's just going to be exploring the world, doing side quests, and, you know, general 100% completion, because we are going for a true 100% run of Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, thank you very much, Ruby. Yeah, we got Ho-Oh a while ago, Crimson. The shiny reaction for Ho-Oh, because for those who don't know, we shiny hunted Ho-Oh in Dynamax Adventures in Sword and Shield, and that was over a 1.5 year long shiny hunt. We finally got that at basically 7 times odds. When are you doing TTK? When are you going to... I'm not sure when we're going to be doing daytime Tears of the Kingdom streams, because... complicated reasoning. I can explain that a bit off screen, Aiden. If you just send me a DM, I can explain that. The Titan levels up on Brown. That probably wants to me. Yeah, I have the footage for the shiny Ho-Oh. I have the footage for the shiny Ho-Oh recorded. I haven't really gotten around to editing and posting it yet, but yes, the footage for the shiny Ho-Oh reaction exists. Yeah, that's gonna be... the thing is, my reaction to the shiny Ho-Oh is pretty much what I thought my reaction to it was gonna be. That's all I'll say. If you guys know what I said about my previous reaction things for it, you're gonna know. Would you do more? No, I would not do more DAs. I have had it with Dynamax Adventures. Unless this game has, like, Terrestrial raids that's equivalent to Dynamax Adventures, and it's, like, worse, as in, like, it's harder, I'm probably not doing Dynamax Adventures ever again. That thing freaking traumatized me. How much did you get, Lee? I have no clue. I will be real, Stephanie. I don't know. I know for certain it is a bare minimum of 10 shinies. The thing is, I don't need to shiny hunt Terrestrialize Zygarde. I don't need to shiny hunt that thing, because I already got my shiny Zygarde. I never need to shiny hunt Zygarde again. I am beyond happy. Always happy to help, Anakin. Always happy to help. Yeah, I have a feeling if they do if they do a Dynamax Adventures like in the style of Terrestrial if they do Terra raids, so as I like to call it, Terramax Adventures for just basically shorthand, I have a feeling they will be static Terra types for everything. But I also don't really know if they will do that, because here's the interesting thing about having, like, co-op Terrestrialize raids, is that with Dynamaxing, you know, it was the cycle thing that went through everything, and it really didn't make the power of stuff too insane, but I mean, the other part is, like, movesets, because this is one of the things that held back Dynamax Adventures, is the movesets of Pokemon ranged from a few Pokemon had, like, really good movesets. You know, like, things like that Duraludon. Not bad moveset. Boldore. Not bad moveset. and a few others like that. Dreadnought, fantastic moveset on that thing. To, the Basculin, which, like, yeah, Basculin, like, was really, really good. To, you get some Pokemon that didn't have, super spectacular great movesets. Hey, Chris. That didn't have, like, super, super amazing movesets, but they were pretty good. They were, like, pretty decent movesets. Aurorus was one where its moves weren't the best, but it could do some work. Tyrantrum, do a lot of work, pretty good. Lairon. And then you get into the, I would say, the great movesets was like 2% of all the Pokemon available. The good movesets were maybe like 15 to 20%. Then there is the passable movesets. It was like, they're not great, but they're not horrible. You can make them work. And that, I would say, is like maybe 30% of them. And then you have the rest of them, which are things like that Seismitoad, which these movesets are utter garbage. These are actively liabilities to our ability to play. And the issue is, nearly half of all Pokemon in Dynamax Adventures were utter garbage in their movesets, which really, really held back Dynamax Adventures. And I think if they're going to do a Dynamax Adventures-like thing with, of course, this game's DLC, Terramax Adventures, as I like calling it, I have a feeling that they're going to realize we need to bump up the moves of Pokemon, like, to make everything, like, not garbage. Because this is a very, very clear change from Sword and Shield. They made a number of quality of life changes in this game's Terra raids compared to the Dynamax Adventure raids. The AI Pokemon in the base Terra raids in this game are vastly improved. You actually have very good fully evolved Pokemon in these raids. You don't have things like Martin's dumbass Solrock. You don't have things like a Magikarp. You have, like, legitimately fully evolved Pokemon like Arboliva, Garganacl, Arcanine, Staraptor. Are they particularly, like, the greatest Pokemon, ever in the game? No. But they possess very competent moves. Flamethrower Arcanine, Rock Slide Garganacl, like Brave Bird Close Combat Staraptor. Like, these are, like, legitimately competent moves on, halfway competent Pokemon to legitimately competent Pokemon. Which shows the devs learned we really inconvenienced players far too hard with our Dynamax raid support. We need to make these better because it is not having the intended effect we wanted. This is actively making it hard for players to enjoy the game. We need to fix this. And they did. Which does give me a lot of hope for, future Terrestrial raids, like Dynamax Adventures, where I don't see them doing, oh yeah, 30% of all the Pokemon in there are going to have, like, these absolute god-tier epic movesets. No, I still see, like, maybe 5% of all Pokemon in, Terrastamax raids would be, great movesets. Things like, the amazing high base power moves that don't have any, negative consequences, like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, things like that on, Pokemon that actually use them very well. But I see the proportion of good Pokemon being expanded from, like, say, 20% to, like, maybe 30%. The usable ones, which, like, they're not, super terrible, but, like, you don't like using them, but they get the job done well enough. Like, a good example of this is, like, the Amoonguss back in Dynamax Adventures, where, yeah, Amoonguss isn't great. Or, like, the Chinook, like, yeah, they're not great, but, like, they do the job well enough, and you can win with them. You just don't like using them. I can see that getting expanded out into, like, half the Pokemon, and then there's, like, a band of maybe, like, 10% of the Pokemon that are just terrible, because you do need legitimately some bad Pokemon in there. So I can see them making a number of very good fixes, which is what I'm hoping for. Yeah. Like, the moves that the Seismitoad had back in Dynamax Adventures, It was Supersonic, Screech, Round, or Echoed Voice, I forget which one it is because I always mix those moves up, and Sludge Bomb. It was completely useless against something like Solgaleo, which that's a big issue, is a number of those Pokemon are actually point-blank useless against a significant number of, like, legendaries. You know, any legendaries that have, like, immunity to status or, like, just certain typings, certain Pokemon can do nothing to. Yeah. Like, those moves that's in Dynamax Adventures were garbage. I've actually, guys, this is something I've actually debated doing, and I would like to know your thoughts on it. That is me going through the Dynamax Adventure raid Pokemon movesets and, like, basically rating them. You know, basically seeing how bad were these movesets actually. And just, like, going through, like, okay, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good, this one's not good. So sort of a bit like the Pokemon difficulty analysis series we did, where how well does this moveset line up with what this Pokemon's strengths are? That Seismitoad has such a great typing, but some ass moves is like a bra moment. Yeah, Seismitoad has a great moveset in terms of, like, what it can actually learn in terms of, yeah, move pool, I guess, is the better term for that. Like, it gets a lot of very interesting moves. You know, a lot of ground moves, it gets Power Whip. So, like, there's a lot of stuff that Seismitoad gets. And they give it Sludge Bomb and Round. Could be a tier list. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I feel like a tier list would be, like, the end of the rankings, where it's like, I will assign this Pokemon, say, like, you know, I've mentioned this before, but, like, the Dreadnought. That Dreadnought is legitimately one of the best Pokemon in Dynamax Adventures. It has a very strong moveset that complement what it does. You know, it gets a good Steel move, gets an okay Bug move, but it gets two amazing stabs. You know, Razor Shell and Rock Slide. Both of those are fantastic. You know, that I would say is like 10 out of 10 right there. That is an amazing Pokemon. And then, you know, it would be basically like, these are the Pokemon, you know, 9 and 10s, 8 and 7s, 5 and 6s, 3 and 4s, 2 and 1s, and then just like 0, do not use. And then 0 would basically be like, the baseline for the 0 is basically that Seismitoad. But yeah, I think it could be an interesting video. Because, like, I enjoy Dynamax Adventures, and it kind of could be, you know, we can project from that, like, what is, you know, Scarlet Violet's Terrestrial rates, if they do something like that, going to be. Aurorus is one of the better Pokemon for the flying rates. Yeah. Yeah, Aurorus, but again, Aurorus is, like, situational. You gotta remember, you have to consider Aurorus in the greater context of all the raids, not just against certain legendaries, because, you know, in a context like that, you know, yeah, Duraludon, fantastic thing, because it, you know, destroys, say, Tapu Bulu, or, you know, Tapu Fini, but it doesn't do very well against a lot of the other things, which you kind of need to, you know, put into perspective for that. Like, F tier, D tier, C tier, D. Yeah, I think that, like, yeah, I feel like those would be the things they do, but it's like the bounds for those tiers would be the numerical ranking. You know, it's one of those things where I am legitimately going to be looking into them and, like, actually tier ranking them after I can numerically rank them. It could be fun. Like, I think it could be legitimately be, like, a fun video to do, because, again, I enjoyed the difficulty analysis series. Will I ever remake the difficulty analysis series? Probably freaking not. Like, I encourage you guys to go check out the Pokemon difficulty analysis series, but it is unlikely I will ever do anything like that ever again, for one very major reason. Well, then again, I can always just reuse those PNGs. I can just go in and use, because the main issue when it came to editing those was lining up all the timestamps and, you know, getting the PNGs and inserting all the different layers and, like, layering everything together. Without having to go do that, it probably would be faster to go do, and I could probably put thoughts together a bit more cohesively, so maybe it's not a bad idea to go do. That could be a fun thing to revisit. But yeah, it's like, the difficulty analysis was actually one of my first, like, major projects in terms of, like, an editing series, but it was very long. I remember very clearly, at the very least, 4 of those episodes took 10 hours of editing to put one of those together. And keep in mind, these videos were like 2 hours a piece for some of them, and those took 10 hours of editing per video. So you put that out to, like, okay, in total, it would be, you know, maybe a full thing of, like, what, there's like 20-something videos for that. Assume 8 hours of editing per all of them, and in a lot of the earlier ones was actually much shorter, but the later ones were significantly longer. So yeah, about 8 hours per thing. You can see how long that series took to make, and why maybe doing it again would not be something I'm super hot on, unless, you know, it's, of course, a more prolonged series, you know, where it's like, okay, I work on it over the course of the next, like, 5 months, and then in 5 months it will be coming back out again, or I work on, like, incrementally. And then, like, it comes out piece by piece by piece. But it's one of those things where I have debated going back and doing, but it would be an enormous undertaking. Not really. Ditto had a number of problems. Ditto depended on what you were actually turning into, which is, again, I wouldn't say Ditto is good, because, again, the upper bounds of Ditto's strength is absurd. You know, again, turning into, say, a Beast Boost Pokemon that gets, you know, Beast Boost. Okay. But Ditto also was only good against Pokemon that had moves that were super effective against itself. Meaning Ditto had to be put at significant risk. So, you know, good example, Ho-Oh. Ditto basically does crap all against Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh might have, you know, ancient power, but Ho-Oh also has very, very, very high special defense, thus kind of negating, you know, the rock-type move being very, very weak. And then you get something like dragons, like Palkia. Well, Palkia is a dragon, meaning it has dragon moves. Meaning Ditto transforming into Palkia puts Ditto at risk just as much, if not more, than Palkia, because Palkia has, like, many times more health. It has, like, an order of magnitude more health than Ditto does. Yeah, but the thing is, the Ditto can't do anything to the Kyogre. That's the problem. Ditto is safe, but it also can't do any damage. You know, Ditto can do damage only if it is at very significant risk, or it can survive, but it can't do any damage itself. Ditto is at its best in Dynamax Adventures if it is transforming into a legendary that has some sort of status move that it can use to set up allies. Kind of a good example of this would be if something gets like Screech or Noble Roar, where it can use that to continuously debuff the legendary. But against others, it really doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, but again, Crimson, then the Ditto is also at risk because of Thunder. Because the Kyogre raid boss can just hit the Ditto Kyogre with Thunder just as easily as the Ditto can use Thunder on the Kyogre. And the Ditto would actually be more likely to go down than the Kyogre, because Kyogre has a lot more natural HP. You know, like, because remember, Ditto's health doesn't change when it transforms. So something like Kyogre that has a very, very high natural base HP would probably have more than 8 times the health that Ditto does. You know, probably 8 to 9 times the health Ditto has. It could shrug off a Thunder from Ditto pretty easily. But if Ditto gets blasted by Thunder, Ditto's gone. Which is the issue. It's very dependent on what moves it has. Now, Ditto would be good against certain raid bosses only on dependence of other Pokemon. So, say like Follow Me users, where, oh, I have Follow Me Togetic against a Palkia. I can pull away the Dragon moves from the Ditto Palkia, which can now use Dragon moves in return. That's a context where it's good, but that is also extremely situational. That's, you know, Ditto's at its best only in a very hyper-specific set of events, of which is realistically not practical to have. Which, again, why I'm probably going to be doing this whole, like, practical list of, like, tier list of these Dynamax Adventure Pokemon, which I'm actually penciling that in right now. Dynamax Adventure Pokemon tier list. D-Max Adventure tier list. And then, like, basically use that as a launching platform for figuring out, well, what potentially could we see if they bring Dynamax Adventures back in a Terrastalize Adventures system, which I think, again, I think Terrastalize Adventures raids is a very likely inclusion in the DLC for the reasoning of it did very well. I mean, it's no secret that the shiny hunting and legendary battle potential of Dynamax Adventures, battling with your friends to shiny hunt, you know, legendaries which normally were not really shiny huntable before, was a huge draw to Sword and Shield, and is honestly what kept Sword and Shield relevant with the release of BDSP and long after the release of Legends. You know, it did a fantastic job at, like, retaining players. That game's, the Dynamax Adventures single-handedly prolonged the lifespan of Sword and Shield by over a year. Even a few months into the release of Scarlet and Violet, people were still doing Dynamax Adventure Legendary Shiny Hunts because there were no Legends in Scarlet Violet to Shiny Hunt. So it's like, it would be foolish of the devs to not include a Dynamax Adventure-like system. Which worries me. At the same time, it also gives me a little bit of hope that, again, they could do Dynamax Adventures and do it better. That's, for me, the thing that I, look forward to, is what could they fix? How could they fix it? Well, I mean, we know how they can fix it. It's very clear how they fix it. And they've already fixed one half of the issue. Again, they fixed the Terra Raid support, which very likely means they're going to fix the Dynamax Adventure equivalent battle raid support, which is going to be good. Who is my first and so far only DA Legend? Nice. Yeah, your first shiny legendary is the one that always sticks out to you. My first DA Legendary shiny was my shiny Reshiram, which I got that off screen. Could have made Swords of Ruin and Second Crydon unable. Crimson, they always shiny lock legendaries on their first release. I think you're not really understanding the typical legendary shiny release cycles. Ever since Gen 5, the legendaries have all been shiny, like the newly released legendaries have all been shiny locked on first, go. So, like, the Tapus were all shiny locked, Zekrom, Reshiram. Oddly, Kyurem was not shiny locked, which seems to have been a technical oversight, but you couldn't shiny hunt for, like, the Forces of Nature, so Thundurus, Tornadus, or Landorus. New legendaries are always shiny locked. They have always done that since Generation 5. It would not have made sense to shiny unlock because it's just not in keep with the pattern that they have done. Well, yeah, but they always do a giveaway of those. They put the legendaries in a code so people who don't have that version can get the legendary. So, like, you're playing Scarlet, they give you, the GameStop code to get a shiny Koraidon. They do that so people with one game can get the legendary and the other of a shiny locked legendary. And then the, like, minor legendaries, air quote minor legendaries, are made to be basically competitive participation incentives that they did with the Galarian birds, was you get shiny Galarian Zapdos and shiny Galarian Moltres and shiny Galarian Articuno for participating in competitive events on these specific dates. Which is very likely what they're going to do with the Ruins Legendaries shinies when they get around to releasing those. Again, competitive incentives. Which, I mean, I'm all for incentivizing competitive play. I am a fan of that. I know not everyone is, but I would say I am a fan of that. Really want shiny Arceus, but boy, do I not want to play BDSP. Ooh, that's the only way to get it. That is the only way to shiny hunt Arceus. That's gonna be fun. Honestly, I didn't really see much of an issue with BDSP. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that. Granted, I saw the issues that regular Diamond, Pearl, Platinum had, and was able to see the ways in which they fixed those issues. So it's kind of like I was able to, like, take a step back from nostalgia and have a look at it. Because I will be real. I really don't remember my first playthrough of Diamond and Pearl, because my first game was actually Diamond. That was... I logged hundreds of hours in my Diamond version. But I remember nothing. I don't feel, like, any nostalgia, really, towards Sinnoh. It was me having only played Platinum, but the E4 caught me into it. The funny thing is, like, the games are, like, 90% the same. The Platinum and Diamond and Pearl are almost exactly the same. The only difference is a coat of paint. And you get, I believe, one other battle with Cyrus. There's, like, mechanical differences. Like, yes, there's, like, a little bit more elaboration onto Cyrus's backstory. But we know that elaboration of Cyrus's backstory. Whether or not the games say, yeah, this is, like, the definitive statement on why Cyrus is doing this, we know his character already. We know that's a part of his lore, even if it isn't overtly stated. It's a bit like if you've seen Avengers Endgame, after Iron Man does the snap, in the theatrical version, the Avengers, like, don't take a knee to honor Iron Man, but they do in, like, the DVD release. Because it just didn't really fit much in the movie, in the theaters, but they have it there, and it's like, it is acknowledged, even if you didn't see it, it did happen. And that's kind of the way that, like, Cyrus's lore is, like, even if they don't, verbalize what the lore is, we know his lore, and we know his backstory, so verbalizing it wouldn't really have done much. Because, again, we already know that lore. The main thing is the post-game of BDSP is, like, basically the same as the Platinum post-game. Oh, Dinky Fox. But yeah, it's like, the BDSP actually has the Platinum Elite Four teams. Yeah, the Platinum Elite Four actually is in BDSP as the second run-through and, like, subsequent run-throughs of the Elite Four. And then after, I believe it is Stark Mountain, there is a third Elite Four team that is actually used where they actually all get 6 Pokemon. And Cynthia actually swaps out one of her Pokemon for a Porygon Z. They actually do a lot of cool stuff. I'm not encouraged to reset it. Yeah, reset hunting. The best way of doing reset hunting, I will say, is if you have another hunt you can do simultaneously. Like, one way that I know people did it is they would do a reset hunt while also doing something like Dynamax Adventures. What's your least favorite shiny? Least favorite shiny? I don't really have a least favorite shiny. I've kind of touched on this a little bit before, but I don't really have a favorite shiny and a least favorite shiny in, like, the same context a lot of other people do. Because for me, the shiny is kind of almost immaterial. as a shiny hunter, that seems a bit weird to say, but for me, it's like, do the colors work? You know, whether or not the shiny colors, regardless of how much they change or how little they change, does whatever the shiny color scheme work, irregardless of what the base color is. So it's like, look at Garchomp, look at shiny Garchomp. Does shiny Garchomp's color scheme, like, still work? Yes. I would say that's not a bad shiny. But like a bad shiny, I would say is like, I don't think raw rubber chicken Moltres works as a shiny, because it's just, it looks like it's a raw flaming chicken. So that's kind of, I guess, like, I wouldn't say, like, shiny Moltres is one of least favorites. Like, I just don't think it works. And that's kind of how I am with shinies. Like, if I don't think, like, the shiny color works, not necessarily I don't think it's, not necessarily I think it is a bad shiny. Yeah, like, because it's the pink. It's the shade of pink, and it's a bird. It's kind of hard to not think of it as a flaming raw chicken. But, like, I don't think the color works because it's just that shade of pink on what the Pokemon is. I don't think it looks particularly good. But I don't dislike, you know, most shinies in the same way I don't particularly like shinies. It's a very weird thing, because I fully recognize the way that I view shinies does not fit into the same way most people view shinies. Hey, I'm Clockwork, how you doing? You know, it's my view of looking at shinies is very, very different than other people. So it's a bit of a hard question for me to answer. It's also the reason I haven't made a video on my, like, you know, my favorite and least favorite shinies, because the way I look at them isn't really the same way as, like, other people do, so it's hard to kind of get that across in a lot of cases. How you doing? How you doing, Am Clockwork? Yeah, this was good. Yeah, we'll keep pushing through. We'll keep pushing for some shiny hunts. Just finished the actual song about a guy. It could be my priorities. Nice. No, thank you for the alerts. You're working. Very nice. Very, 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 very nice. Always good. Always good to have, you know, everyone be doing good. Sounds delightful. Sounds extra specially delightful. Yeah, I've got plans. I've got plans. And also, we are going to be doing that Dynamax Adventures Pokemon tier list thing. I actually want to do that. I think that could be really fun. I actually want to... How many Pokemon are there actually within Dynamax Adventures? Because, like, I actually want to see this now. So I know how many I'm getting myself into for PNG-wise. I'll send you meta when he is ready to release it. You'll probably visit it. Nice. I already like it. I like it already. But yeah, I want to see how many there are. I don't think there's that many. I think it's probably somewhere around maybe 50 or so. I don't think there's, you know, that many. Dynamax Adventures Pokemon. Because I would like to see, like, just to see how many there are. Dynamax Adventures Pokemon list. There we go. Dynamax Adventures. Crown Tundra rental Pokemon. There we go. Cerebi.net, you generally update very quickly, but I like it. Okay, so they are in... Okay, so they're columns of 5. So 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not a clue. Not a clue, Midnight. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15... We got it! I wasn't even looking and I got the shiny, holy crap. Good day. And that is our second and final shiny HISUI in Golden Doggo. This is the power of looking away from the screen for a second. This is how we got our shiny Staravia yesterday. Okay, so let's try and get back to the cat. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That was actually more than I thought. Wow. There's already over 100 Dynamax Adventures Pokemon. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and then 1. So 44 times 5 is 200... 221 Pokemon in Dynamax Adventures. Wow. That is a lot more than I expected. For like the rental Pokemon. Okay, that's gonna be a hell of a video. These are the rental Pokemon we're going over, Stephanie. We're going over the rentals, not the actual legendaries. Hello there, Temple Plays. You just missed us get our second and final shiny HISUI and Archipupper. We finally got it. But it was over odds though. It was over odds. That's not gonna be fun hatching the rest of these eggs though. That's not gonna be fun hatching the rest of these eggs. Archipupper. Exactly. It is the highest of puppers. Gosh, Johnny. So yeah, we got it, but it was over odds. It was still over odds. But it is a finished shiny hunt. It is a finished shiny hunt. I am thoroughly pleased. I'm thoroughly pleased. So now the real worry is, what if I actually get another one? This was kind of my one worry when it came to basically breeding up this many eggs for Masuda hunting en masse, was that what if I breed up so many eggs and I just have a massive reserve of eggs I need to hatch, like, later off screen? And this is kind of getting into that, but also it's like, I can just do the giveaways. Like, I can just make it a shiny reaction to give away later. So, like, in the end, it's still, even if I, like, get an extra shiny, I can still give it away to people. So it's like, it works. But yeah, it's... Yeah, glad you're here to see it. Although, AM Clockwork, if you want to see the remainder of my shiny reactions, because we have a fair number of shiny reactions we do, we upload them both as a short, but also, every month, which I'm getting back into doing this, we do a massive compilation of last month's list of shinies we got. And we go over all the reactions to them. So, yeah. Yeah, you didn't miss the shiny. You did not miss this shiny. Which is always great. Like, I love it when my friends can see the shinies, the reactions. Somewhat I need to get peppers from you. I can trade you right now. Oh, you never have yours. I mean, Ember, you can always just shoot me a DM off stream, and I can send you one. I can just trade you one. Like, anytime now that we have Discord. It's always delightful to have HISUI and Archiduggo. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Hope it's good, everyone. All good in the neighborhood. But yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna just finish work on hatching the rest of the eggs, cause I'm a DM. I have my foods. Okay. Yeah, of course, when I leave for a sec, I gotta go do stuff. Mother, in the span of 5 minutes, get shiny, which caused me to miss the reaction. Nice. We have gotten the shiny Bisharp family, and they are a bunch of amazing shinies. They are some top tier shinies. Bye, please. Nah, not amazing. I'm just doing what I do. I just do what I do. Whether that is amazing or not is up to the viewer to decide. It is not up to me to decide if I am amazing or not. Yeah, I think that they meant they were going to go and hunt it, not they were going to leave and hunt it. They were like still going to lurk here while hunting it. Another HISUI pupper. Do. Yeah, there's a... I'm going to have a fun time making that list of Dynamax Adventure Pokemon. Because, like, I think it could be interesting to make that tier list for Dynamax Adventures, like, the actual tier list. I think what I'm going to do is we're going to have it be, like, best of the best is going to be the 9 and the 10, the 9s and 10s. Where, like, these are your best Pokemon. 8, like, say, like, not, like, 8.9 to, like, 7.5 are, like, really good Pokemon, but have, like, maybe a downside here or there. And then, like, the 7.4s to, like, 6s are, like, good, but situational. So it's, like, it'll be an interesting thing to make. Archipupper. It is the Archipupper. Midnight, I plead the fifth. Midnight, the Glomar response. I can neither confirm nor deny the facts of that statement. Midnight with that Glomar response. That is the actual official name for that I can neither confirm nor deny the facts of that statement response, is the Glomar response. There's a fascinating story behind the origin of that response. There's a fascinating story. Basically, it was a bunch... Like, the military basically contracted out Howard Hughes to get a ship made to scoop up a Soviet sub from the bottom of the ocean without drawing attention. And when people were asking, like, oh, so what were you doing with, the thing? Was it, like, to salvage this ship? Like, we cannot confirm or deny that. Because either way, whether they say, no, we weren't, that looks suspicious. Like, we're not gonna, it's just, we decline to comment. Because no matter what we say, it's gonna look bad. It's like, that's clever. Again, fascinating stories. Like, history is legitimately fascinating. It's one of the reasons I actually enjoy listening to, like, history documentaries in my spare time. Because there's a lot of just fascinating stuff that goes on in history that we never really learn about because they're, like, the little tiny things. Well, yeah, but here's the other thing, Infinite Midnight. There are a number of questions where it doesn't matter what answer you give, it's not gonna look good anyway. So, that's the other thing, is that there are questions where it's just never gonna look good anyway. and just acknowledging that no matter what answer we give, it will look bad. So our answer is, we are not going to answer. So it was like cleverness. I love it. Still sus no matter. Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, nah. But yeah, there is a reason I do enjoy listening to, like, history documentaries in my spare time. It's because I do find history, like, legitimately fascinating, because the history they teach you in school is, like, it's the most watered-down, broad strokes there is, when, like, individual stuff is just beyond fascinating. Like, actual history has more legitimately interesting things than some of the most interesting movies that, like, have ever been made. You know, like, real life is the greatest inspiration for things in existence, because it's just, like, it's fascinating. Like, if you told someone that, oh, yeah, this thing happened because of an entirely contrived sequence of events that would just complete luck out, like, okay, that's literally us. Like, we became you know, Team Humanity became the dominant species on the planet because of an incredibly long chain of events, basically beginning and ending with the extermination of the dinosaurs by a giant falling space rock, landing at precisely the right point on the planet to wipe out the dinosaurs and all the, you know, giant macrofauna, but leave the tiny little mammal creatures still, you know, still alive. And just other things like, you know, the arrangement of the planets because of how the gravitational pull of them work to basically keep Earth from getting obliterated by meteors, and also preventing the formation of giant super Earths. Like, the entirely long just string of luck and events that took to get to where we are. Like, yeah, no. There are contrived coincidences in movies and plots, but, like, yeah, when you compare to the realistic things, it's not that surprising. Because real life has a lot of those that actually have happened. How big mushrooms ever? No idea. I mean, I don't think mushrooms were ever, like, gigantic. Because they break stuff down. You know, they don't need to be just super massive in, like, the same way trees do, where they need, you know, grow taller to get more sunlight, you know, for photosynthesis, or, you know, giant whales need to be huge for, you know, thermal insulation reasons. Or, you know, of course, predators, you know, so they don't get eaten by things like sharks. I mean, when I say giant, I mean, like, 20 feet tall, you know. I'm talking about things like the size of a house when I say giant. Not, you know, size of a motorbike. Because that in the scale of wild, like, nature things, that's not, like, super huge. Yeah, like the mushroom trees in Tears of the Kingdom's depths. Is, like, I don't think things like the mushroom trees in the depths existed. Which, that would be horrifying if that was an actual thing. That would be horrifying. I want to believe in big mushrooms. I want to believe. Just X-Files music just starts playing in the background. I've actually never seen the X-Files. I've heard great things about it, though. And again, guys, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. No, I mean terrifying midnight. I mean absolutely nightmare-inducing. I mean completely and utterly nightmare-inducing. Giant mushroom inside. Never played Satisfactory. I have never played Satisfactory. I've heard about it. I've heard great things about it, but I've never played it myself. I've heard very good things about it, but also I'm not sure if it's my kind of game. Like, it's for one of the reasons I don't really play games like Minecraft, because I fully recognize I do not have the brain space to be able to enjoy a game like Minecraft. I don't have that creative impulse. I fully acknowledge, like, I don't have that creativity. I would not be able to enjoy a game like Minecraft and appreciate the full things. I can appreciate, like, what it can do for other people, and, like, people can create what they want, but I do not have that same creative impulse to go out and, like, think of what to go do. Which is the struggle of me with a lot of open sandbox games. About half my limited brain goes into videos. Yep. My singular brain cell is just, like, Pokemon competitive, Godzilla, and heavy metal. So, like, that's basically just that's literally just my brain right now. But I'm gonna go get some more water. I'll be back in a second. We got our second and final shiny Archidoggo for the Hisuian family. We still need to shiny hunt, though, regular Growlithe. I already have a shiny Arcanine, so I just need the one more Growlithe. If I do end up getting a shiny from these eggs, another Hisuian Growlithe shiny, I will probably shiny hunt the regular Growlithe off-screen. But I'll be back in a second. Hydrate or dihydrate, friends. There we go. But yeah, if I do end up getting the other shiny Growlithe, I will probably hunt that one off screen, unless I get like I'm hunting a fire type. It's like, oh, well, I can go hunt, you know, regular Growlithe here. So yeah, we know the chair is better. We know the chair streams are the superior streams, Mike. Yep, superior chair streams. Well, at least you don't make that joke with Sly. Well, I mean, Sly probably doesn't really get up. Sly rarely gets up. But also, we don't need to make that joke with Sly midnight. We don't need to. It's an intrinsic fact of things. It is an intrinsic fact of things. I'll be real. There's a very, like, significant pull in me right now, where it's like, I kind of want to end off now that I've gotten the shiny Growlithe, to go and finish watching more overly sarcastic podcasts, because for those who don't know, I'm a big fan of OSP. Red and Blue legitimately carried me through 2 classes in college. Overly sarcastic podcast absolutely just has me rolling with laughter a lot of the time. And I enjoy their tropes talks. I enjoy their detailed diatribe. I love them. It's like, they're so good. They find a way to be super legitimately informative on a number of topics, while at the same time also being just beyond hilarious. Yep, we got the shiny melon. We got the shiny Archipupper. We did. Sly's both. Yeah, he's wearing a toupee. So he always wears a hat. So why Sly always wears a hat? He's actually just Lex Luthor underneath it. Sly is actually Lex Luthor. Absolutely confirmed. The chair got in. Yep. Exactly. The chair. Chair is the source of the subscriber source. The chair is the subscribers. I legitimately did at some point want to do an entire chair stream. I have legitimately wanted to do a chair stream at some point. I haven't figured out when we're going to do it. But we are going to do a chair stream at some point. Probably for the anniversary of the channel, we're going to do a chair stream. But also maybe not. I'm still figuring out, you know, when the actual chair stream is going to happen. But yeah, I did not expect that there would be 221 Dynamax Adventure rental Pokemon. That legitimately was surprising to me. So that's going to be a bit of a long video. That's going to be a very long video. Stupid question, but what is the still ingredient? Not a clue what that is. Not a clue what the still ingredient is. But yeah, I very much enjoy overly sarcastic podcasts. I mean, the thing is, I write stories. You know, long form stories, and I'm still working on a couple of them, and I will honestly say this. a number of watching overly sarcastic podcast videos have legitimately helped me, like, be better at writing things. So it's like, I really enjoy them. It's like, I go back and I watch their videos from years ago, because it's like, yeah, it's still good quality stuff, like trope talk, detailed diatribe. It's like, I love it. It's all good. All of what they do is good. So figuring everything out right now. Still figuring out what? In what game? Oh, you ever need someone to add a friendly word? Okay, Midnight, kind of some of those, there's kind of a word in there you don't really want to have in a chat. Just saying, not really a good idea to have one of those words in the chat. Yeah, I'll be real. Yeah, it's okay. It's just like still, yeah, the almighty algorithm worries me at times. The almighty algorithm. We are all subservient. One of my friends made a joke that YouTube's YouTube's video algorithm, like recommended algorithm to people, is legitimately an eldritch god. Because, like, it is an all-powerful force that controls all of our lives, that so many people have tried to understand and comprehend, but no one is able to comprehend just the sheer complexity of it. It's like, legitimately, the YouTube algorithm fits into the thing of literally being an eldritch god. So the YouTube algorithm would not be out of place in like an H.P. Lovecraft story. Which is honestly an interesting idea of like the just algorithm runs our lives. It was just terrifying. It's okay, Midnight. It's okay. You're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. Also, Midnight, did you watch that Metroid thing I sent you a while ago? Did you watch the Metroid thing I sent you? It was funny. Watch it. I demand you to watch it. Because it's funny. I forget what the name is, but it's the guy that does, like, something Metroid speedrun. It's like, I love that video. It's so funny. Like, my favorite thing... Yes, I believe you pinned the comment. Like, my favorite thing about that is there's a legitimate number of actual speedrunning tactics that are tongue-in-cheek used in that video. Which just makes it funny, because, like, yeah, that actually kind of is what people do when they speedrun. And then the other one is like just Link in his underpants in one of another videos for Breath of the Wild, where just Link in his underpants with a damage up food thing, just clowning on Ganon. Freaking love that game. I love it, guys. Finished my lunch and it was actually very good, delightful. But yeah, I think that this sandwich is probably gonna be our last sandwich that I'm gonna be preparing for the stream later today. Which the later today stream is again going to be Tears of the Kingdom focused, where we do some Tears of the Kingdom stuff. I'm pretty sure my goals for tonight for Tears of the Kingdom are going to be side quests, exploring, and Koroks. You know, I think it's going to be gathering the side quests is more than anything, so we can start doing them, make the progress. Oh, Dragapult, Violet, Goose, and Zuda. It's going to be a pain. Yeah, Polteface. Yeah, shiny. We got shiny Polteface from Outbreaks and Sandwiches. That was how we acquired the Polteface. And yes, I refer to the Dragapult family as Polteface, because they are literally catapult faces. So, Polteface is apt. Yeah, it'll be fun. It's gonna be fun. I am pleased though that we did actually get the shiny. So So mad when Dragon Ball was gonna be Masuda exclusive, but Masuda hunt. Like, I get why people don't like Masuda hunting. I very much understand it. I kind of find it soothing and relaxing. It's... Because things like, say, Dynamax Adventures and Soft Reset hunts, they do kind of get a little exhausting after a while. To be fair, Midnight, that's Sly's own choice. Like, that was Sly's own choice to go into that. The game gave him numerous shiny Sprigatito. He refused them at every corner. That is his own fault. Melon, you don't need the subscription. You can just transfer it up normally. Yeah, when they added the home compatibility for Scarlet Violet, they actually made it so you can transfer stuff all the way up from things like Ultra and Ultra Moon and like the Gen 5 games into the modern games. You don't need the subscription for it. The subscription is just like extra space. Yeah, that's really all that the subscription does, is just more space to put things in, which for someone like me, I don't really need. You, Kayla. You are, I would say, more than I am. Because remember, you would get your shinies faster than I would. Melon, we mentioned this before! Melon! We've mentioned this before! This is why you need... We've mentioned this many times in, like, previous... We mentioned it, like, 2 days ago, too. We mentioned it, like, 2 days ago. We mentioned it yesterday. We mentioned it a lot. Well, that's why you need to watch the streams, Malin. You gotta rewatch the stuff. Stuff like that comes up a lot. Yeah, it says there's all sorts of stuff and things like that. But yeah, you can just transfer it up normally. All the subscription does is just give you more storage spaces, which for me isn't... The only real thing that the storage space is helpful for is that... like, you can just move over more stuff en masse without needing to, like, swap stuff out too often. But for someone like me, where I'm just, like, very, very practical, it's just, okay, I'll just store stuff in this game and then just rotate things out as time goes. So it makes that a little easier. But, I mean, I know some people who have, like, hundreds of Pokemon in their PC, in their Pokemon home storage. It's like, I don't need that. I just use it for moving stuff in and out. I use it for moving stuff in and out. So it's like, I will move... But this is what I did, this is what I did, 2 or 3 days ago. I moved all of my Pokemon from this game that were, like, non-shinies, that were Pokemon that I have no real desire to, like, use competitively and were not shinies and were not, like, super important Pokemon. I moved those into my Scarlet version and moved them over by typing, which freed up, you know, 18, if not more, PC boxes. No, yeah, Queen spoon-fed. Spoon... The queen of the spoons. Spoon queen. We know Ash is the forehead queen. We know Ash is the forehead queen. But yeah, there's plans I have for there's plans. Clean sides table. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I actually cleaned, like, my room up a few days ago, where it's like I had all these letters off over in the corner, like all these letters, all these papers that I was like, I need to get rid of these, and I just, like, threw them all out. It's like, I don't need these anymore, and it's like so good to have, like, my floor space cleared again. Bro, one of those just teleported. There just no, just don't the bag. Yikes. See. Maybe Sly moved it. Maybe Sly moved the pen. That's one of the like, things that kind of like bothers me. Is like I had a thing here. Who moved the thing? I can't find it now. So yeah, we got about 20 minutes left in stream because we're probably gonna actually wrap up a little bit more than that. But yeah, we have both the shiny HISUI and GROWLIThe, so that's good. I'll need to figure out which one to evolve, but it's gonna be fun. They look like they're gonna be fun competitively. One of the other stuff is looks like the dust. Did you empty out the entire bag, Midnight? Did you empty your entire bag out? But yeah, let's go. Excuse me. Let's go find. We're gonna go find a raid target because generally we like to try to figure out who to go raid. So like in advance, because sometimes YouTube is a little weird. Because sometimes like YouTube is a little weird with like displaying. Oh yeah, this person is actually live, even though they aren't. It's weird. YouTube is just very, very, very weird. So let's go find them. OSP. I very much enjoy OSP. Okay, Grande is it Grand Gamer or Grande? I've always thought it was Grand Gamer. But I guess it's Grande. But I guess we could go raid. We're gonna raid. No, because I'm absolutely garbage at names. I am absolutely horrible at coming up with names. So, do not ask me for naming help, because I am terrible. Grande. Okay. Thank you. Because I was like, I don't know how to pronounce names. But, good to know. So, Grande. That sounds so awkward to say, though, Grande. It's like, I mean, for me, I always call them Grand. But, like, I guess it's Grande. I guess people today are mostly doing Tears of the Kingdom themes. Okay. We'll go find someone to go raid. We'll go find someone to raid. It's kind of weird though that like, YouTube is displaying people as live when they aren't. It's weird. There we go. Hop away. One more egg and then we switch out. This was good. I mean, this was again 2 shinies today, even though one's a dupe. It's not bad. Like it's not a bad. Not a bad thing. Boxes. Lilith's hand. Yeah, the thing is, I don't name my shine is the other thing. When it comes to naming Pokemon, I kind of don't. Yeah, I just kind of don't nickname my Pokemon unless it's like a reference to like another like series. Like I will name a lot of like I'll name my Tyranitar Godzilla, obviously. You know, the variations on Godzilla, or you know, like I have a name theme for certain Pokemon, but you know, just like plucking a name out of thin air. Nope, I already have the entire Flappy family, the entire Mareep family. Yeah, we got Mareep. We got the Mareep family a while back. So I am quite pleased. We also might end off a little earlier than when the sandwich runs out. Because again, at this point, all of this is a little... not necessarily like superfluous, but a lot of these eggs are just kind of not necessary to hatch. Because again, we already got the shiny. And I will be hatching the rest of them off screen. So, there is that. I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll probably raid Sleepy Lunala if I don't find someone else who's doing like shiny hunting. Oh, that's okay. That's doing shiny hunting. Okay, that is shiny hunting. Okay. It's like, why is it not showing up when anyone is shiny hunting stuff? Like anyone is also doing stuff. Oh, Zed just started. That's why I didn't see him because he hadn't started streaming yet. Okay, that's why. But yeah, we're probably gonna be ending off in a bit because this was fun. This was very fun. But yeah, I think we're probably gonna be ending off after these eggs because again, all this kind of superfluous. But this was good. This was good. This was very, 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 very good. And again, Tears of the Kingdom stuff will be later tonight. We might raid Zed, but I mean, we've never. I don't think we've ever actually raided Sleepy. We might want to go send some love to Sleepy. I mean, we're doing another. Like, I kind of like to stick on topic though with what the things. So we go raid Zeddy. We'll go raid Zeddy. Okay. That is all the eggs. I was offending because, you know, Zed's whole thing is like Arcanine, so we'll go raid Zeddy. His mascot is Arcanine, even though we're not raiding like that thing. But yeah, we will go and raid the one and only Zed. Zed Games. See you guys next time. We're gonna be live later tonight again with some more Tears of the Kingdom. I will see you guys then. I'll get working on that Dynamax Adventure video, and see ya.